Hello everyone. Tonight I bring you a mystery that has haunted investigators, travelers, and storytellers for decades. It is the tale of the vanishing hotel guest, a chilling story where someone checks into a room but is never seen leaving, and yet the room itself offers no sign of escape or struggle. Hotels are places of transience, filled with strangers, where footsteps echo in long carpeted hallways, where doors click shut behind travelers who are often far from home. But sometimes, a guest checks in and then simply disappears, leaving behind questions that have no answers. This story is built from whispers of real cases, blended with the weight of legend, and tonight we are going to step inside the dimly lit corridors of one such hotel, where the vanishing guest left behind nothing but a riddle. Our story begins in 1973, at an old hotel tucked deep within the city of London. A hotel that had already developed a reputation for strange occurrences. It was called the Halcyon Grand, a Victorian-era building with wrought iron balconies and tall narrow windows that seemed to watch the streets below. Travelers described its interior as elegant but unsettling, with crimson carpets that stretched endlessly, chandeliers that swayed faintly even without a breeze, and a faint smell of lavender that lingered in every corridor. The Halcyon Grand was not the kind of place people chose for its luxury. It was chosen because it was affordable, because it was close to the train station, and because it had a long history that somehow made it appealing. Yet beneath its charm there were always rumors. Guests whispered of flickering lights, of footsteps in empty hallways, and of locked doors that rattled at night, as though someone unseen wanted out. On the night of October 14th, 1973, a guest arrived at the Halcyon Grand under the name Dr. Edward Halbridge, a middle-aged man in his late 40s. He carried a brown leather suitcase, wore a gray wool coat, and checked in at the front desk just past 7:00 p.m. The receptionist, a young woman named Clara, remembered his face clearly. His dark eyes, his sharp cheekbones, and the way he seemed distracted as though his mind was heavy with worry. She gave him a key to room 409, a room on the 4th floor at the far end of the hallway. He thanked her quietly, signed his name in the guest book, and ascended the staircase. That was the last time anyone ever saw him alive. Room 409 had a peculiar reputation even before Dr. Halbridge checked in. Guests often requested not to stay there, though few could articulate why. Some claimed the air felt heavier inside it. Others swore they heard voices when they were alone, and one guest years earlier had fled in the middle of the night, muttering about a shadow standing at the foot of his bed. Still, the hotel management never closed the room, for hotels cannot afford to lose business over superstition. Dr. Halbridge, whether he knew the stories or not, slept there that night, or at least he was supposed to. The next morning, when the maid came to clean room 409, she knocked politely as she always did. There was no answer. She knocked again, louder this time, and still there was silence. Finally, she used her master key to open the door. The room was perfectly tidy, the bed neatly made, as though no one had ever slept there. The suitcase was gone, the clothes were gone, and the guest himself was gone. Yet the key to the room was still inside, resting on the desk near the window. There were no signs of struggle, no broken locks, no footprints on the balcony, and the windows were firmly shut from the inside. It was as though the man had vanished into thin air. Clara, the receptionist, swore that Dr. Halbridge had not checked out. His name was still written in the register, and no one had seen him leave through the lobby. The night clerk confirmed that no one resembling him had passed by the desk during the night. The police were called, and an investigation began. They searched every hallway, every stairwell, every corner of the hotel. They questioned staff and guests, but not a single person recalled seeing him after he went upstairs. His belongings were never found. His medical credentials, if they existed, were never verified. The name Edward Halbridge appeared to be a ghostly invention. The official police report listed him as missing, but there was no evidence of foul play, no body, and no clues. The case went cold almost immediately, but whispers of the vanishing guest spread quickly. Soon, the Halcyon Grand gained an eerie reputation. Travelers began to book rooms there just to see the infamous room 409, though many who stayed inside reported sleepless nights and strange occurrences. Some claimed they awoke to find the furniture subtly rearranged. Others said they heard the steady sound of someone breathing in the darkness, though the room was empty. One woman even claimed she saw a figure in the mirror, standing behind her, only to turn and find nothing there. But the mystery does not end there. Over the next few years, more incidents were reported at the Halcyon Grand. Guests vanished. Not many, but enough to fuel suspicion. A businessman from Manchester in 1976, a young artist in 1979, a tourist couple in 1981. In each case, the same pattern occurred. They checked in, they were given keys, they entered their rooms, and then they were gone without a trace. Their rooms were always untouched, the beds perfectly made, the keys left behind. The police could never establish connections between the missing individuals, nor any motive for foul play. The staff began to fear that something supernatural was consuming the guests of the Halcyon Grand. By 1985, the hotel was forced to shut down, its reputation so tainted that few dared to stay there. The building remained abandoned for years, its grand facade decaying, its windows boarded up. Yet urban explorers who ventured inside claimed that the rooms still smelled faintly of lavender, and that sometimes late at night you could hear the sound of footsteps echoing in the hallways, though the building was empty. Room 409 became a legend, a place where reality seemed to unravel, where the boundary between the living and the vanished was thinner than anywhere else. And yet every legend hides a deeper truth. Some believe that Dr. Halbridge never existed at all, that his name was fabricated, and his disappearance was staged as part of a sinister experiment. Others believe he was real, but that he stumbled upon something inside the hotel that should never have been found. Perhaps there was a secret passage hidden behind the walls, a door that led to somewhere else entirely, a place from which there was no return. Or perhaps more chilling still, room 409 itself was the doorway, an ordinary hotel room that was anything but ordinary. Now, let us dig deeper into the life of the supposed Dr. Edward Halbridge. Who was he really? Why was he in London? And why, of all places, did he choose the Halcyon Grand? The investigation into Dr. Edward Halbridge's disappearance revealed less than nothing. Police searched not only the Halcyon Grand, but also surrounding streets, train stations, and hospitals. No trace of him was ever found. His name, curiously, did not appear in any official medical registries in the United Kingdom. No license, no degree, no past addresses. The signature in the guest book was the only tangible proof that he had ever existed, and even that was dismissed by skeptics as a forgery. Some claimed the receptionist, Clara, had invented the entire story for attention, but those who knew her described her as honest, timid, and far too shaken by the event to have fabricated it. The most chilling detail remained the same, the key. Every missing guest's key had been left behind in the room, usually on the desk or nightstand, and as if deliberately placed. The implication was terrifying. If a person leaves willingly, they usually return the key at the front desk. If they are abducted, the key is either taken with them or left behind in a hurry. But these keys were always positioned carefully, as though by unseen hands following ritual. Urban legend hunters became obsessed with the Halcyon Grand. In the early 1990s, long after the hotel's closure, seekers broke in to explore its halls. They took photographs of the crumbling chandeliers, the stained wallpaper, and the locked doors still bearing brass numbers. Many reported the same experience, the faint smell of lavender. Some explorers swore they heard the click of heels on the hallway carpet when no one was there. A few even vanished during these explorations, their companions later insisting they had walked into room 409 and never come out. The police treated such claims as hysteria, but the rumors persisted. As investigators dug deeper, more eerie patterns emerged. For every missing guest, a name was written in the guest book, but those names often turned out to be untraceable. Edward Halbridge, Martin Reed, Lydia Fairborn, Stephen Kay. These names carried no weight outside the Halcyon Grand. It was as though the hotel itself conjured them. Researchers began to suspect that the guest book, rather than being a record, was a trap. Writing your name, there might have been the invitation, the moment the hotel claimed you. Some paranormal theorists believed the Halcyon Grand was built on cursed ground. Its foundations, they said, rested upon the ruins of a debtor's prison from the 18th century, where men and women wasted away in forgotten cells. The anger of those who had died unjustly may have seeped into the soil, poisoning the building above. Other investigators claimed the architecture of the hotel itself was suspicious. Endless hallways, strange measurements, and blueprints that didn't align. In one map, room 409 appeared larger than it should have been, as if hiding a secret chamber within. Clara, the receptionist who had seen Dr. Halbridge for the last time, never fully recovered from the memory. Years later, she admitted in an interview that she sometimes dreamed of him. In her dreams, he stood at the end of the fourth-floor hallway, motionless, his face pale, his eyes hollow. She would call to him, but he never answered. He would simply step back into the shadows and vanish through the door of room 409. By the late 1990s, the Halcyon Grand was demolished to make way for new construction. A modern office building was erected on the site. Workers who built it, however, reported tools going missing, sudden chills, and lights that flickered without explanation. Some even quit, claiming they saw a man in a gray coat walking through unfinished hallways, only to vanish when approached. The company covered up these reports, but whispers spread among the workers that the ground itself was cursed. Today, the mystery of the vanishing hotel guest endures. Was Dr. Edward Halbridge ever real? Was he the first victim of room 409, or simply the one whose disappearance was remembered most vividly? Was there a hidden passage that allowed someone to spirit away guests unseen, or was the hotel itself feeding on them, pulling them into a place beyond our comprehension? Legends say that if you find the old brass numbers from the Halcyon Grand, especially the one marked 409, you should never take it home. Those who have claimed to possess it reported nightmares, missing time, and an overwhelming urge to return to the site of the vanished hotel. A collector once displayed the number 409 at an auction in London, but before it could be sold, the number itself went missing. To this day, no one knows where it went. What makes this mystery so unsettling is not just the disappearance of one man, but the recurring pattern, the endless cycle of guests swallowed by the unknown. Hotels are supposed to be places of rest, but the Halcyon Grand reminds us that behind every locked door lies uncertainty. Each time we slide a key into a lock and step into an unfamiliar room, we are placing trust in a space we know nothing about. Perhaps the walls are listening. Perhaps the room is waiting. Perhaps we, too, could one day vanish without a trace. And so the tale of the vanishing hotel guest continues to haunt travelers and mystery lovers alike. Whether it was the work of human hands, a secret society, or something far more sinister, the truth has never been uncovered. Some stories remain unsolved not because they cannot be solved, but because reality itself bends to keep the answers hidden.